Hey, what's going on, y'all? Happy hump day. Hope you guys are doing well. It is Wednesday. It's February 5th, and I just missed you guys, so I wanted to do a little live stream. Hope everyone's doing well. I hope we can get some cool people in this live today. I'm going to be just kind of doing a live, answering questions, talking about some new plugins and stuff I've been using in production just as of late. I haven't released a song for a while, so I want to kind of talk about what I've been working on and help you guys out, right? Like the live streams are always about you guys and helping you. So if you have any questions at all, you know, that's what I'm here for today. It has been a long last week. I was at NAMM for like 4 or 5 days in a row, going to after parties and shit. And then I had the Grammys. I went to the Grammys on Sunday. And yeah, I'm finally back in work mode, kind of. You know, I got kind of sick from NAMM and shit, but I'm getting back to it. So I'm getting back to the music and production, mixing, mastering, doing client work, doing my own music, lots of sync licensing opportunities coming across the table right now. So I'm really excited. And I'm working with some really cool artists in my artist development program. And I'm working on some really cool TV shows and records and blah, 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 blah. But who's in the house? What's up? Natural, what up, baby? Brian Olson, my guy. So Brian's in my artist development program. You guys should definitely follow him, check him out. Philippe, what's up, dude? It's good to see you. It's probably really late over there, huh? Like late in the night, very early in the morning almost. Of course, I always got my my little sippy drink here. It's 6:30 over here on the West Coast, Los Angeles, Hollywood, California. That's where I'm at. It actually rained today, so I'm feeling kind of like somber. I don't know, sad. It's not supposed to rain here, right? But it's good after all the fires and everything. But I got a little tequila, and I'll show you what kind of tequila it is because it's actually really, really good. And also, a lot of people don't know about the good tequilas. You know, they all just like, Patron or, Don Julio, all the common shit. But, yeah, I'm kind of a connoisseur of tequila. So this is the Siembra Valles, and it's a tequila blanco. I like the blancos, right? And yeah, this is really good. Just super, super good tequila. And I think it's right around $100 a bottle. So it's not cheap, but it's like one of those really nice tequilas you could sip on. Good flavor. And then I usually do, like, as you can see, I got a big rocks in there. It's just one big round ice cube. And that way it doesn't dilute the tequila too quick, right? That's how you do it. When you're getting older, you got to sip on just really nice, clean tequila, right? 100% agave, good, clean tequila. No, I'm not affiliated with any tequila brands. No, I'm not trying to sell you guys any tequila. I just always like putting people on game. When I like something, I like to talk about it. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be talking about stuff I like and what I've been using. Steve, what's up, man? And just kind of, helping you guys out. So if you have any questions at all, just drop them in the chat. And if you guys like anything about this stream, you get anything out of it, I really ask that you consider supporting the channel, okay? That means you're not subbed, sub to the channel, right? If you get something out of it, throw some thumbs up, say nice things, like actually interact with everything, right? Ask questions. And if you really like what, you hear tonight on the show, then you can super chat the channel, and that'll just basically allow me to shoot more videos, pay video editors, pay the people that I got to pay to make all this content for you guys, because it is not free. It's not free to make content, believe it. All right, any good tequila plugins? I like that. All right, so let's go into Logic Pro, because that is kind of my my DAW of choice, right? We're in Logic Pro here, and this is Logic Pro 11. And I just want to like kind of go through some things I've been kind of experimenting with. And I'm working on a sync brief right now. I'll play this kind of vibe for you guys. It's a little bit outside of what I usually do, but I've done so much electronic kind of stuff that it's pretty on point for me. Let me play this track so far, and then just kind of break down some of the plugins and some cool stuff that I'm doing with it. So this is kind of like the bare bones of a start. The brief kind of for me is like it's like epic kind of hip hop trailerized kind of stuff. UK grime, you know, some garage, drum and bass kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm trying to like combine a lot of things, and this is kind of like me sketching. Right, I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna make this perfect. I might switch out sounds. I might change completely, like almost everything. I might just find something that I really like about it and then strip it back and start again from that sound, right? But just to go through some of the ideas here, and hopefully stuff that might kind of get you thinking and get you going, oh shit, I never thought to do that. I am using Melodyne in a really interesting way. First of all, I'm using Faceplant. Faceplant is a really good synth for this kind of idea, right? These kind of dubstep-y UK garage EDM that's like more modern. So if you want those kind of more modern EDM sounds, Faceplant is really good for that kind of stuff, right? You know, it's we've kind of like evolved over time from like massive to I mean, there's tons of stuff. I don't want to get into all the synths that you could use for EDM or these kind of hard vibes, but this is just one of them, Faceplant. And here's the thing, the reason I'm using Faceplant, and I just wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit because it's really unique and something a lot of people don't know about, I think, that are probably just getting started with production. This has, if I go to my browse tab here, I have these little Osmose. So I have this Expression keyboard, right? So this is actually a synth on its own, and it's called the Expressive E, right? Like it's an Osmose synth here. And the way it works is it has like the ability to a lot of aftertouch, and you can also like pitch bend the keys by wiggling them, right? So it's a really, really cool synth. I'll show you kind of the synth here. I'm not selling you guys anything, okay? There's nothing, no money involved on any of this, okay? I'm just showing you guys cool stuff, putting you on game, okay? So the Osmose synth is this guy, the Expressive MPE polyphonic synthesizer. Now the cool thing about this synth, and it's really, really expressive, it was the synth that Hans Zimmer used in his award-winning score now for Dune 2. Right? So this is like one of those synths that I think is really unique, right? And you could play the videos on this and stuff, but the idea behind it is this really expressive kind of feel to it. It has sounds inside of it, but also they make synths that utilize the technology of the MPE, which is like this expressive, you know, like, yeah, I'll play around with some of these synths so you can really hear it. And I'll mute my microphone so you can really get what I'm talking about. Now, this patch right here is just under the factory patch. See, so there's no E expressive kind of element to it, right? So if I go... That's just like a normal patch, and it's using just the aftertouch on the keyboard. But if I go to this other one here, right, and I go to the browse here, this is actually a what they call MPE programmed synth preset for this keyboard made directly for it. So as I play this, I'll show you what it can do with the bending and stuff, which is really cool. So we get into this really expressive feel with this keyboard, which makes it kind of like a synth meets an acoustic guitar, piano meets violin. Like, you get expressive movements with it. Of course, you do have pitch bend and stuff as well here, but you can bend and you could set these to do all sorts of crazy shit, right? Like bending the note, like how far it bends up. Like, does it go a full step, a half step, you know, a fourth, you know, whatever, as you move these keys. And they move a lot. They wiggle, right? So this is a really cool expressive element for not only like score and stuff, but like what I'm doing in this track is just having all of these elements kind of bending at the same time, right? So if I solo these synths out, it makes it so I don't have to write and draw all this automation, and it's more like played in, but it's also programmed and sounds like a synth. We're kind of blending the worlds, which I think is really, really powerful for this kind of music. Right, so this is like a really kind of like interesting texture, right? It's like moving and it's kind of drunk, you know, and kind of gives this really this movement that like you can't really get unless you're going to go and like automate a shit ton of parameters. You'd have to be automating aftertouch, pitch bend, and, you know, modulation wheels and all that stuff. And you can see it kind of prints it into stuff as well, right into the MIDI. So if I go here, you can see there's note velocity, pitch bend, aftertouch, right? All this stuff that's written into this while I play it. So really fun. And you know, just kind of like subtle movements and changes. I don't know if Logic will track all of that stuff, but Faceplant does when you're using one of these presets. So that's the really fun thing, is there's like these different presets, and yeah, just makes the whole synth a lot more animated and ability to kind of breathe life into it. So that's something I've been using lately. Another thing, like I'm using Track Spacer here. And I don't know if you guys know of this trick, but if you don't, then it's pretty cool. When this bass quake breakout kind of vibe comes in, and I'll show you what I'm doing on this one on Melodyne as well, because Melodyne is a very powerful tool, not just for pitch. It's really cool for harmonics and synth sound design, and I'll show you some stuff with that. But the bass quake breakout here, right? When this comes in, I don't want these kind of padded sounds to be interacting too much, like being too loud when this comes in. I want this to take over, right? So on these kind of padded, more legato sounds, I put Track Spacer on it, and then Track Spacer, I just have the side chain on that bass quake breakout. So that looks like this when that comes in. So you can see as that bassquake synth comes in, what we're doing is we're just ducking and making room for that to really come in with that rhythmic element. Without the track spacer on, right? Like if we went in and we bypassed the track spacers, we get like, it just turns into kind of a mess. And this is something I highly recommend you guys do in your production stage, not in your mixing and mastering stage. Don't have your mixer having to do this kind of shit, right? You should have this burned into your stems because it's part of the production. So like now I have to kind of have all these things competing. So I'm just going to solo these out together. Right, so the idea is, and why I'm using Track Spacer on this element and this idea, is because this is only going to come in during this kind of chorus part or whatever. you know, I'm going to have rap vocals on this, just so you guys know, kind of like in a UK grime kind of fashion, right? So this doesn't come in until all these are playing together. So for example, this brassy cloud, I don't want, like the track spacer's on this, right? But I don't want the track spacer, I want this to be full on, right? Until we get where this comes in. So this takes over the lead. It's the same idea of like automating a electric guitar solo up when you get to an electric guitar solo, right? Everything else kind of has to take the backstage. Jazz, right? The upright bass player comes up and he does his thing and everyone kind of backs off, you know what I'm saying? So drummer comes back to the back. This is the same idea. So this brassy cloud and this industry, you know, whatever the fuck this is, right? These all need to be kind of like up front until we get to the, you know, and then that's going to take over. Right, so you could do that with vocals as well, right? So you have like a vocalist, because like your track gets really busy and you like build it up and you have this crazy, you know, big chorus, and then you're like, where the vocals are getting lost, right? So use track spacer and really focus on the mid range here. So you could like go up to like 116 or something, and then go down to like 5K, right? And the vocal's really gonna be centered there. So when the vocal comes on, it makes room. Everything else ducks just in the area for the vocal to kind of cradle and sit. Okay, that's the best use case for this. But I'm using this to make room for the synth, right? You could do this with kick drum, obviously. Like that's the side chain, the bass and the kick, right? You know, do your EDM shit, right? You could do the same thing with that. So same thing with drums. Like I have my kick drum here, right? I can say, okay, let's label this track kick. And then on the hits here, like this is like a hit. I don't know. These two are hits, right? Like I programmed these. So instead of all this low end and sub, like clipping out your master bus, which is like an amateur move, and so many people do that, right, in production. And then they're like, bro, can you mix this? And you're like, dude, you stacked like 3 bass sounds on top of each other. You have an 808, a sub bass, and another bass. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing, you know? Good arrangement is the first rule to a good mix, okay? So good arrangement, remember that. But now, okay, we have this kick and these hits, right? These hits are like really big. This one is like a hi-hat, so I'm not gonna worry about that. But this is like a low-end hit right here, right? It has a lot of sub in it. So let's call this hit sub, sunb. So we'll call it hit sunb. And then on this one, we're just going to put the track spacer, all right? Boom. And now on the track spacer, we're not going to duck all the mids and stuff of this. We're just going to duck the low end. Okay, so we're really going to focus on like the 200 and below. Okay, and on that, we're going to sidechain. We're going to pick our sidechain. The instrument is going to be the kick. So every time the kick hits, it's going to, right? And you can also adjust the attack and everything by clicking here. And you could go and make the attack really fast. And then the release, you can kind of make it faster or whatever, right? Now, what we have is this. When the kick hits, the sub gets ducked in the low, in the subs. Right? So your ear's not going to detect it, but it's going to duck, the kick's going to hit, and it's going to duck that low sub stuff on that sub hit. So the kick's going to take over the sub. You could do it vice versa. You could have the sub ducking down the kick sub area, right? So the kick's just the punchy area, and that hit is like, woof, woof, right? So the reason we do that is because it saves a shit ton of voltage, right? when you look at your metering and you look at where you're hitting with your luffs, your peaks and stuff, you're going to save a bunch, like a dB or two, and you can get a louder record that way. And the ear does not detect it. So you can do that with Track Spacer. You could do it with Synth 2. You could do it with Pro Q3 or Pro Q4 actually has a really cool function on this as well. So check this out. If I go to Pro Q4, which is a brand new plugin from FabFilter, just to update Pro Q3, right? And let's say I really want to just like do the same exact thing that I'm doing on this one, right? I'll just like make a node here. And it has a new function on Pro Q4 where you can pick spectral, which is really cool. Spectral will kind of act like a Synth 2 or a Track Spacer. So this is what it looks like. So as you can see where it hits, it's looking at the actual peak resonance, right? It's not just looking at this frequency. So the difference is, I'll go A/B it so you could see the difference between spectral and dynamics, right? So this is spectral, and this is very different than a dynamic EQ or a multiband compressor. And a lot of people online argue about this, and they just don't understand. They're not educated on this. They don't know what the difference is. So they're like, you could just do that with a compressor. And you just sound stupid when you say shit like that, right? Because you don't know the difference. So this is a spectral. This is a resonant frequency. Just watch. I'm not going to explain all the science behind it, but just watch what happens when this hits, and then I'll switch it to dynamics like a multiband compressor would do or a dynamic EQ would do. All right, very, very powerful, right? So when you do spectral, you do have to be a little bit careful because you can get into some weird phasey stuff. But for the most part, I think Pro Q4 and anything else is very, very hard to detect with the ear. Even Synth 2. A lot of people online argue about this. Oh, where are you going to get phasing and phase shifting? And it's like, if you can't hear it, you can't detect it with your ear, it doesn't exist. I don't care if you scientifically scoped it out. Like, who gives a fuck? If I can't hear it, I can't hear it. And if I can't hear it in a tuned room with $17,000 Dutch 8C monitors after doing this for over 20 years, then I don't give a fuck what you say about it because you've been producing for 2 years watching some fucking clips on TikTok about this and arguing with people. Like, I just don't care. So I think this is a really and I digress. I'm not trying to like hate on anybody. I'm just saying like these are different. So spectral and dynamic is different. So that's a really cool way to do it though. You can do spectral here and do sidechain, right? So you could sidechain in and then have it listening to the sidechain. Okay. So for example, we go kick, and then, we will go to, I think you have to probably go to the sidechain here. Let's go. Okay. Pre-post sidechain, right? So now we're monitoring the sidechain. And then, oops, get rid of that. And then we can do this and make this spectral, and then we'll just do it on a shelf like that, right? So we're just getting the low end and just the sub area, like maybe 80 and below, right? Not into the punchy area of like 120 and all that, right? And then on this, I think we have to do, you could also do mid, right? So maybe just the sub frequencies, you just want to duck the middle image of just the sub, right? You could do that as well, which is, I think, super dope. But yeah, let's turn this on. Let me see here. I'm not sure how, let me see, band one threshold auto. Okay, I think this is good. Let me see here. Okay, I'm missing something. So just so you guys know, I'm not familiar with how this sidechain works on the Pro Q4. I do this on the Pro Q3 before, but not on the 4. But I'm trying to get it to the sidechain to affect the EQ only. So I'm trying to make sure that that's happening, but it doesn't look like I'm doing this right. So disable clear. I should be able to see how I can turn on the sidechain somehow. Maybe it's here. Yeah, let me see. Bypass dynamics button, let you easily bypass the dynamic behavior. What's the difference between dynamic and regular? That doesn't make, I don't care about that. So let me see here. We're going to figure this out. Yeah, I don't know how to set this up in Pro Q4. Sorry, I'd have to do a quick search on that. But I'm analyzing the sidechain, but it's not doing what I want it to do, basically. If anyone knows how to set that up, cool, let me know in the chat. But pretty much what you could do is the same thing as like what Trackspacer is doing, how I have it set up, where you're seeing the sidechain, and the sidechain is affecting this. So every time the kick hits, you'll see this ducking. Right, but I'm not setting that up right in Pro Q4. Same thing, you could do this with Synth too. I just want to show you all these options because there's a lot of different ways to do one thing. And when people argue online about that kind of shit, I'm like, duh, you know? Like, I'll do like a little tutorial. I'll do a piece of content on Synth 2 and Jason Joshua's ducking technique for 808s and kick, right? And then people will be like, you could do that with this. I'm like, yeah, fucking cool, man. Do it with that. I don't give a shit how you do it. I'm just showing you there's a bunch of different ways to do this, right? I already have a preset in here, I believe. Let me see here. No, I don't. Okay, so basically just turn off all these modes or these nodules. Just go here, sweep this out. You could just bypass all these. Not that it's going to matter, but if you have this filter on right here, you're just basically saying, hey, look at everything from 366 and below, right? We'll set this to hard. We'll take the depth up, and we will make the kick drum, right? Going here again, go to kick. And the kick drum will then be the sidechain. So we just got to turn on the sidechain here. And then I like to go as fast as possible on the attack. And then on the release, you can kind of slow that down a little bit. And then we'll adjust the sharpness and the selectivity. Fucking awesome, right? So this works really, really well. I really like using Synth 2 for this. But Pro Q4, Trackspacer, you could use all these different plugins for it. And whatever sounds best to your ear, whatever you can work the fastest with, use that, right? And fuck what anyone says online. If they're like, you should use this, you should use this, you should use this. I like the way this one sounds. So, you know, I don't really care what you're saying, okay? So now let's talk about, you guys got any questions at all, by the way? I don't know if you guys have questions or if you're just like, what the fuck is he doing? I'm just gonna watch what he's doing and try to figure out what the hell's going on here. Love you too, bud. How you been, man? Everything good? Okay, cool. Yeah, I try to do that. I try to get ahead of the questions, right? You guys liking this so far? Have some thumbs up is always cool, you know? Like I said, make sure you sub to the channel. Don't be a little bitch. Be nice, be sweet, be cool. Be cool. I'm trying to, you know, show game. Show you guys stuff that I've been, you know, learning for many, many years. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Drop them in the chat. I'm going to show you another thing that I've been messing around with that I think is really cool. And I just cut a video for it, for a piece of content, just so you guys can have it out there in the world and you don't have to join this live stream to catch it. But here we go. This is Bass Quake Breakout, and I captured it in Melodyne. And this is a really, really cool, powerful tool in Melodyne that I want to show you guys. And that is the this sound editor. Okay, so I'm going to show you what's going on here. Okay, so here's the synth. I'm going to bypass Melodyne. So there's this like really cool thing that I learned from Justice, right? The group Justice, those two guys, I think they're French. But they do this a lot with Melodyne. And I'll show you some of the settings that you can tweak here. So basically capture your synth or your bass or your guitar or whatever else, and you want it to sound like kind of fucked up and, you know, mess with harmonics and compression and all that stuff. You just open up this, this vibe here, the sample sound editor or whatever. And there's a bunch of sliders and buttons down here, right? So you have low, harmonics, high, EQ, synth, and then you have these sliders. These sliders are really cool. They're like compressors and emphasize on the EQ. So this is a dynamic. So this is your compressor. So I'll show you what this does. I'm gonna mess with the compressor. So this is one of my favorite parts about this effect in Melodyne is you have this odd and even harmonics. This is so tight, right? So basically capture whatever, right? A synth with a bunch of harmonics is going to be awesome to do this with, like an analog synth or whatever. And then you can go to the odd harmonics and like peak them out, or you could go to the even harmonics and peak those out. And it's just like, holy shit, that's super dope. Not only that, this is your actual harmonics, 2, 4, whatever. And you click here and you get 3, 5, 4, you know, it's like giving you the different harmonics and the different placements. This is like super powerful, right? So you have 2 and 4, or you have 3 and 5, or you have 4 and 6, and it just keeps going up, right? So you could kind of mess around with this as well. And you can see it right here. These are the harmonics going on, which is so dope. Check it out. So you can do all sorts of crazy shit with this, man. And this is like such a fun thing to do with your synths. Like, let's just capture a new one just so I could show you some stuff, right? So here's Brassy Cloud. Let's like grab this one. Now remember, you can do this with polyphonic stuff as well, so like chords, and that's really cool because then you can do it's really, really wild. Like, I don't think people understand how powerful Melodyne is. You guys like this? Thumbs up, right? You can also super chat the channel, support the channel so I can make more content, more live streams for you. That's up to you though. Whatever you want to do. You could just take this all for free. It's all yours, baby. All right, so check this out. So now I have this, and I'm just going to open up this guy, and let's check this out. Let's make sure we're on the right channel first, huh? All right, yeah. All right. All right, cool. So let's grab all this. I think I have to select it first. Pretty sure to initialize it. And then we'll mess around with these harmonics here. Fucking crazy stuff, right? So crazy, man. Oh man. Thank you, Julian. Appreciate you, bro. Just bought me a coffee. I appreciate that. It's really nice of you, man. So is the Orange Clipper your go-to for the tubas? Do you recommend any others? Well, this is like Orange Clip is like for me for this kind of genre for sure, right? Like and I can't show you guys this because this is like the Orange Clip 3. It's not released yet, so I don't want to you know, fuck over my dude Ryan. That's my guy. But yeah, I like Orange Clip on the master bus or drum bus when I'm doing this kind of stuff. These kind of vibes. Like here's without the. I'll bypass Orange Clip in and out for you guys, so you can really hear what the difference is there. You know, just like it's the genre, like it's giving me that push, and I'm just barely clipping on that. It's not anything crazy, but I do love the Orange Clip on Like anything like this, like trap, EDM kind of stuff, hard stuff. Yeah. I'm not really using Orange Clip though if I'm making indie pop, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just not something that I think is, you know, needed for indie pop. I might use a tape machine and clip like a tape machine plugin or something. So it's all different. Pro Q4 here doing some cool stuff. Yeah, God Particle, like my go-to on the master bus. My favorite thing about the God Particle, which a lot of people don't use last in their chain, but I do with pretty much everything, is the limiter, because the adaptive limiter is so good. I just love it. I think it's amazing. So yeah, Jason and Cradle just fucking killed it with this one. I'll bypass all my master bus stuff and you'll just hear everything kind of collapse. Right, like the obvious gain difference. Like I'm not going to sit here and gain match it for you guys. And all you out there that are like, you gotta gain match it. Fuck off, right? I don't work for you. But yeah, like the obvious gain difference is there. But for the most part, like when I'm producing, this is like a quick chain. Like that's all I'm doing, just quick chain. I'm like Orange Clip, Pro Q4, the God Particle, boom. And a lot of times, like I'll just have just the God Particle on, right? Like here's just the God Particle. And what this helps me do is it helps me top-down mixing, right? Like I want everything leveled, right? And it's louder, but it's not just louder. And I think that's a big thing that people don't understand or they misunderstand. They're like, you got to gain match it. It's just louder. It's not just louder. It's compression and it's limiting and it's harmonics and it's all sorts of stuff. And when you're adding something like the God Particle or a limiter to your master bus, you're bringing up low level information, right? So the reverbs come out, everything comes out more, right? So I kind of know how to mix into it and how to produce into the master bus. And it's lower latency as well. You know, Pro Q4, Orange Clip, the God Particle, amazing chain to produce through. Like I'm not getting a whole lot of latency. Even if I go to low latency mode, right? I can play stuff and it's not going to mess up with my production. I'm not going to go like, oh, it's a huge delay, right? And I could even, you know, go in here and get down to 64, 32 samples if I don't have too many tracks going on, right? And this is M1 Max. It's not like M4 maxed out kind of thing. I'm just using an M1 Max and I'm able to produce through it. So that's the key for my workflow personally. I don't really care how other people do it, you know? I learn from people all the time and I get game from people obviously, but yeah, like if you're not going to show me how to do it better than what I'm already doing, then I don't want to listen to you, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of recommendations and suggestions and you should do this and, you know, you should do that and you should use this. But for me, I'm producing this like EDM kind of hard style stuff, right? On this track. So I'm using stuff that's like low latency, sounds good, loud, clipping, distortion, fucking in your face kind of stuff, right? Quick. I want to go quick. I have to get this done and I got to ship it. I got to get the wrapper on it. I got to get the concepts and like writing and top line on it. I got to get it to the publisher, the sync reps, the music supervisors, ASAP. I have to make a living, right? I can't sit here and tweak this all day long. And then finally, when I'm done with the production, take it into Pro Tools or then do the mixing or then do the editing. I'm just kind of doing it all at once, right? So even when I'm doing the Melodyne stuff, see how I just have Melodyne on? Like I'm just leaving it on, right? Everything's playing through the Melodyne. But once I get to a point where I'm like, ooh, I really like that. That's super dope. I'll just go in here and I'll just bounce it in place. Right? I'll come in here and go, boop, bounce in place. And we'll say bass quake mellowed, right? So I know that I tweaked it or whatever. And then boom, I got my stereo printed, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll right click on this just to give you game on Logic Pro 11 workflow. I'll go to on off and I'll turn this off. I'll mute it. and I'll bypass these plugins. I know, like, you're like, dude, but you turned it off. Why do you need to bypass the plugins? I promise you that this, if you do not turn off the plugins, you will be using CPU power. I can't explain why. I don't know why they programmed it that way, but if I turn these off, my CPU power goes down. Do you see that? Do you understand, like, all this stuff I'm showing you is like stuff that's real, right? Like, I'm not like just showing you guys stuff that doesn't matter. I guess that's the best way to put it. So when I see my CPU and I turn this on, right? And I turn phase plan on and I turn Melodyne on. First things first, if you go to settings and audio and you see this here, playback and live tracks, okay? So live tracks means that you're going to be adding multi-threading or processing power into the queue, right? Let's just say the queue for the CPU when you are highlighting something, a track that you could play, right? Because it's preparing it. So it's putting it into RAM, it's getting it ready, okay? So that's gonna be, see how the processor on this last one goes up, right? But watch this, if I go to this, see how that goes back down, right? Now go back to this. That goes up, right? Goes back down. Right? So the processing and the multi-threading is set up for live tracks. So let's just bypass these and see how the processing went down a little bit, just a touch, because it's pretty you know, it's pretty efficient because it's a Mac Silicon, but the processing went down. So when I bypass it, the processing is pretty much the same. But this is the key, bypassing the plugins. Okay. Now I've tested this. I've like done this with a bunch of stuff, like where I turn off everything and I'm like, why is the processing not going down? Oh, I turn off all the plugins and then the processing goes down. So just something to keep in mind. So now I can do that and I have my shit printed, right? Here's my audio. And I might even do stuff like I might process this even more, right? But this is kind of how my workflow goes, I guess. You know, what's kind of interesting too is like printing that and then turning this back on and turning off the Melodyne and just layering this back in, right? Like, what does that sound like? Like, how does this sound together? Probably doing some phasey stuff too. Yeah, it sounds all digital and shit, and I like that. I think that's kind of sounds like modern to me. If I just put it into texture, right? And then maybe I'll do like a chorus on this, right? So let's do like a Juno 6 chorus, whatever, and put the high stuff into the sides a little bit more. And then if you wanted to, you could take this guy and let's just get rid of Melodyne on this and do like a sweep of the top, right? So let's get rid of the top and let the top be in the sides on that second one through the processed Melodyne, tweaked harmonically, whatever kind of shit. It's like a different vibe, different texture, different idea, timbre, etc. And now let's pop it all into the mix. There's all sorts of crazy shit going on, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, this is like a EDM kind of thing, right? I'm just going to do a save as on this so I don't save over this what I already had here, because yeah, I'm just like showing you guys stuff. There's not anything I feel like I'm really going to keep or want to keep. But yeah, let's check out another kind of vibe, right? Like check out a different style of music. So you guys, we're not in this like EDM space because like I don't really produce a whole lot of EDM. It's not something I really fuck with and really love doing. But I do it. I have some fun with it. I did it for years. I've done it for years, you know. Let me see. Oh. I'm finished with it. I'll probably drop February or March. What do you say, zombie vibes? Yeah, modern Nine Inch Nails for sure. White Zombie vibes, nice. I like that. More human than human. Fuck yeah, dude. That's what's up. What is the Pro Q4 doing? You're probably asking on the master bus. Just widening stuff out. You know, taking down the low, like I was shelving down a little bit so that it's not hitting the limiters hard. Low end can really fuck up the limiter, right? It can eat up your voltage and your headroom. Definitely smoothing them peaks out, getting them peaks nice and buttery. Yeah, but let's open up this one. You guys have any questions at all? Do you have like any, I appreciate the super chat, man. That's so nice. That's what's up. $5, man. $5 goes a long way. It adds up. You know what I'm saying? Like my editor charges me like $250 for an edit, you know? And then my YouTube, if it does really well, I'll do like, you know, a video will make like $20. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I spend like $250 on the editing. I spend a bunch of time and energy, money on the cameras, on shooting it, etc. And then I put it out for you guys for absolutely free. So the super chats are really nice, believe me. All right, so this is more. Here, let's listen to this track because this is like a completely opposite spectrum thing. And let me just activate these because this is the one thing that pisses me off about the UAD-X stuff is every time I open up a session, I have to reactivate the plugin. No clue why that happens. They got to fix that shit. All right, so now we're going to talk about making something sound more analog. All right, let's check it out.
Had to earn a way around with no one to turn to. Ain't no luck, just pavement covered ground where the birds don't make a sound and the sun don't break through. But you know, this little girl had a dream. She'll make it a reality. Make it a reality.
All right, so on this one, we're talking about like more classic, vintage, tons of modeling going on, right? Like there's just all the plugins are modeling vintage analog gear, right? So I don't know if you guys have any questions about this one, but you know, here's the vocal chain. Vocal chain is the virtual mix rack with the Slate ML1 microphone. This Blackbird Studio 251 is really, really good. I really like this mic model. And then the FG73, I push the gain a little bit so it drives. Show you what that sounds like, because I think that's misunderstood a little bit. So here, let's solo out this lead vocal.
Grew up on the rougher side of town, had to earn a way around, with no one to turn to.
Right? And a lot of people, oh, that sounds muffled. That sounds this or that. I'm like, I love that. Like, I love how the mid-range sounds on that. It sounds really good to my ear, and it sounds vintage. And I am kind of like, you know, doing a little bit of compression as well. But for the most part, I am taking down just a touch of that, but I'm pushing that 960. So this is like the, for me, this is like the holy grail of like what I loved about Motown and old school records, is they had this like mid-range push that sounded muffled and like thick, right? And so if I hone in on that area.
Grew up on the rougher side of town, had to earn a way around, with no one to turn to.
Right? I love that. Like, that sounds so good to me. Warm, full, but then also like the mid-range, right? Like that mid 900 to 1K, 900 to 1.4, 800 to 1.4, etc. And then a little pro de-essing. Pro de-esser is best de-esser in the world, I think, personally. And then some more shaping. So we just kind of like tuck this down a little bit more. The reason I tuck this down a little bit more after the DS is because I feel like when you DS, sometimes it gets rid of some of the top, right? And if you get rid of the top, you emphasize more of the bottom, right? And vice versa. If I get rid of the bottom, it emphasizes more of the top. So you're kind of constantly, you know, going through the chain like that. So a little boosty action. I don't know. This is production. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't mixing. I'm just like producing the vocal. I'm like, that sounds good. That's kind of how I work with my tools. So here's this Pro Q3 after this.
Grew up on the rougher side of town, had to earn a way around, with no one to turn to.
Oh, yo, thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much. Thanks for supporting the channel. It means a lot, man. Makes me, you know, able to make more video content for you guys, more live streams, and just teach everything that I've learned in 28 years of making music, right? So really appreciate that, man. That's what's up. So yeah, so like here, when I hear this now, I kind of want to bump this up, this 1K up to like maybe 12 or 14.
Grew up on the rougher side of town, had to earn a way around, with no one to turn to. Ain't no luck, just pavement covered ground, where the birds don't make a sound. Grew up on the rougher side of town, had to earn a way up.
No, I think I was intuitively right on. You know, that's the thing. Like, when you do something and then you second guess it, put it in the mix. Because now in the mix I like it how it was.
Grew up on the rougher side of town, had to earn a way around.
Yeah, it sounds great to me. Right? So that's just kind of like that warm, full kind of vibe. And then this is a new compressor to me. And this company I really, really fuck with, Audioscape, which is also Keve Audio. I think they're the same company. I'm not positive. Don't quote me on that. But the guys over at Keve Audio, Kiive, sent me these plugins. And I just fucking love this compressor. This thing is absolutely ridiculously musical. They make the analog hardware version of this as well. And I think it's based on a stay level compressor. So you have single, double, triple mode. Like, this thing is just fucking sweet sounding. Here, let's show you what this can do.
Grew up on the rougher side of town, had to earn a way around, with no one to turn to. Grew up on the rougher side of town, had to earn a way around, with no one to turn to. Ain't no luck, just pavement covered ground.
Now look, dude, I'm like blending this in, right? This is 40%, so we're like parallel compressing with this, which is just really, really musical and just beautiful. And it just kind of like holds everything together. That's what I like about it. And it has a sound to it. It like sounds more analog to me. And I've worked with a lot of analog gear over the years. So a lot of people ask me, like, do I have a hybrid setup? Do I use analog gear? Because a lot of my stuff sounds super analog. It's all in the box. You know, I've just learned how to use the plugins. The plugins have gotten so much better that I sold a lot of analog gear over time. I had tons of different analog gear. Now I only have analog synths, you know. It's the only thing analog in my studio. Besides, you know, microphones and preamps and shit. But other than that, I don't have any outboard. Okay, Valhalla Vintage feeding into the UAD AMS RMX 16 on ambience. This one's on room for some reason. It should be on ambience. And here we go.
Grew up on the rougher side of town, had to earn a way around, with no one to turn to. Ain't no luck, just pavement covered ground, where the birds don't make a sound and the sun don't break through. But you know, this little girl had a dream.
That's it, man. That's like the vocal chain right there. Vocal chain of the gods. No, if you want a really vintage feel, that's, you know, that's my vintage chain right there. And then on the backgrounds, pretty similar. I just tweak a couple things. Sometimes I like the H3000 on because it kind of sets the vocal back. So I'm still working on this, right? Like I'm still producing vocals on it and cutting stuff. I still have to cut a bunch of vocals on the chorus and everything. But I've been caught up working on, you know, my artist's work. So I'm really focused on that right now, not my own songs. So these are the background vocal stacks. They're just doubles left and right.
'Cause that's the way it goes when you're out here on your own. Life can be a lonely road. Yeah, that's the way it goes when you're out here on your own. Life can be a lonely road. Oh, life can be that way. You grew up on the polished side of town. Papa wasn't around, and Mama put in the work too. All his love.
You know, just like little punctuations that I think are so fun. Like those kind of harmonies are always so dope in like any sort of song, I think. But this is like, it's a story. I'm telling a story on this one, you know what I mean? But that's all the time I got for you guys tonight. I got to get out of here. I got a thing at 7:30. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you for the super chats. If you didn't sub to the channel, you should do so right now. Seriously, like sub to the channel. I got a lot of cool stuff coming out. I will be doing a video on the new Orange Clip V3, the number 3 of the Orange Clip. That'll be a really fun video. I'm going to go into depth and detail on Orange Clip and how I use it and all that stuff. Ryan is a good friend of mine, so he sent me the plugin, and I'm excited to talk about it and show you guys how I'm using it and really dig into the new features of the Orange Clip 3. But if you haven't already, make sure you guys drop some love, like throw a thumbs up or whatever. It just helps engagement on the channel. I want to reach more people. I want to give people more game, you know what I'm saying? And I want to find more artists that are really serious about building a music career. I'm not doing this for fun all the time. Most of the time I'm doing this for fun and to help and build careers for people, right? So if you are a serious artist, not someone that's like, yeah, I'll fuck around with music, you know, it's pretty fun. You know what I mean? If you're like really serious, you want to build a music business. First of all, you're still here, right? There's 11 people watching this right now. Half of the people that were watching just dropped off. They were like, oh, fuck that, I'm done. You know, he's not giving me any free stuff. Okay, now 10 people, right? They're like, oh, I'm out of here. I got to get out of here, bro. Man, fuck, he's done with his stream. He's done giving free stuff. That's why I'm prolonging this conversation, because I want to get rid of all the people that are just hobbyists, all the people that are just, I just want free stuff all the time, right? And if you are really serious about building a music career, you guys want to work one-on-one with me, right? And my team, people that I work with, right? Players, assistant engineers, people tuning your vocals, people really getting your thing going, pitching to supervisors, music supervisors, sync licensing placements, etc. You want production, executive production, direction, you want vocal production, etc., right? Then hit me up. It is not free. This is an artist development program that I do, and I'm taking on just a few more clients for the rest of this year. And it is February, and I'm talking about like 3 more artists I'll take on for this program. So if you are at all interested in really doing something serious with your music and seriously doing it, don't hit me up like, oh man, I can't afford that. I ain't trying to really, man, I'm trying to see if this will pop off sort of thing on its own, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, don't hit me up, all right? If you're just a hobbyist in music and you're like, I want to stay that way, awesome, but don't hit me up about this. But here's my email address. I'm serious, just serious artists, like really serious artists. If you got some music out, you're like, you've been pushing, you don't know what you're doing necessarily, you're not connecting the dots. There's just something. It's like not getting there. You know what I mean? You're not getting those placements. You don't know who to hit up. You don't have the connections. Your mixes are just like not right there. Your mastering's not there yet. You need help with your songwriting and production. You need to up your game. You need to actually be in music for a living. You want to get to monetizing your music every month. You want to get sync licensing placements on TV, commercials, films, right? TV promos. You want those things that like, oh, I got to check. Holy shit. I'm actually getting streams. I'm actually making revenue from my streams. Look, Brian, 70,000 streams and counting, highly recommended. This is a guy that literally has dropped 2 records in his whole entire life on Spotify. He has 70,000 plus streams, real streams, algorithmic playlist kind of shit, because that's what we do. We make records, mix, master, produce, help him with the rollout, help him with the content creation, etc. Brian, how many views you got on your content by now with all this stuff? TikTok, Instagram, with your posts and stuff. What do you got? Like hundreds of thousands, would you say? You're talking about a guy that like literally just jumped into music. It was like, hey, I want to make some songs and put some songs out, right? Do you think you could have done it on your own, Brian? Do you think you'd be like anywhere near where you're at? Like, I'm asking honestly. I'm not asking to promote this artist development program. I really want to know, like, where do you think you would be right now without any help at all with what we've been doing, the production, the mixing, the mastering, the rollout, the content, the group chats, the Zoom calls, one-on-one, like, where do you think you would be? I think there's tiers to everything, right? Like, you could be the guy that gets minimum wage at McDonald's. You can also be the guy on the board at McDonald's making, I don't know how many tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So there's tiers to everything, y'all. You could be the guy dropping the fries into the fryer and going, there's no money in fast food. Or you could be the guy selling franchises, making hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And going, there's fucking money in franchises and fast food. So you just have to know. There's things that a lot of people just don't know. They don't have the connections. They don't understand where to put the music. They don't know how to market the music. They don't know how to brand themselves. They don't know what's going on with social media or why they would use it. They think it's dumb, etc. If you think all that stuff's dumb and it's a waste of time and you would never even want to do that, don't hit me up, right? I'm trying to help people build real businesses that are wanting to put in the work, that are wanting to put in the investment, that are really serious. I want to work with serious people this year. I'm not trying to work with anybody else that's not serious. All right. I hope you guys can find that. If you're here still, 13 people, 1, 2 of you got to be serious about this. I guarantee it. Hundreds of thousands, no way on my own. So hundreds of thousands of views on his content organically, just be at 1K streams and way less views, maybe 5K if that. Maybe. But y'all have a great night. I hope you got a lot out of the stream. And if you are really serious about your music, I'm going to just kind of pin this email address here. Just hit me up, and we'll get on a call. All right? Happy hump day. Go hump it out, y'all. Go pump them hips.